One of the principles of God that you may or may not know is this, is that God will not do for you what you can do for yourself. It's actually true. He requires you to do your part, and then wherever you end up, then God takes it from there. There's this great story about this farmer. He buys this farm. The place is beat up. The barn is tilted and falling over. The paint's coming off. The fence is falling down. There's weeds everywhere. He spends the next 2 years fixing it, straightening the barn and painting it and putting in new fencing and resawed it. It looked fantastic. New preacher comes to town, and he decides to go around and visit his congregants. So he goes around and he walks into this farmer's yard and he looks at it. He says, "My goodness, Abe, what a beautiful farm the Lord has given you." To which Abe says, "I suppose, but you should have seen it when he had it by himself." And before you get too offended about that, when you look into Scripture, you discover that this is a spiritual principle. You have to do what you have to do. And so you look at the miracles. I mean, the raising of Lazarus from the dead. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, but who rolled away the stone? Who unwrapped the grave clothes? Why did man have to do that? Because man could. And what they couldn't do was raise Lazarus, and so Jesus did that. Turning water into wine. Who remembers what they had to do? The servants. Who remembers? They had to fill the jars with whatever they had, and what they had was water, and Jesus turned it into wine after they did their part. You know, when I was in university, I had a friend, I told that story about turning water into wine. He said, "That's nothing. I turned my entire student loan into beer."